Hello, everybody. My name is Corey Funk, and this is Funk Film Reviews. And I'm going to talk about maybe not necessarily any film reviews today, but it is going to be movie chat, and it's going to be talking about deserving and undeserving best picture or movies that get a lot of hate. They don't think necessarily deserve the hate that they get. Now, I'm not going to defend, I read supposedly Paul Haggis is in jail for sexual assault charges. And if he did that type of stuff, that's where he should be. But there's one thing that happened years ago and some people, and a lot of people on the internet shit on this movie. And a lot of that movie I'm talking about is Paul Haggis's Crash. Now, like I said, if he did what the allegations say, then absolutely he should be in jail. I won't, but I am going to defend this movie. Now, it beat out Brokeback Mountain, and a lot of people were pissed off about that when that happened. And I'm going to actually say something of a Best Picture winner that I actually do think is a bad movie that won Best Picture. And I don't think Crash I'm not going to say it's my favorite movie because it wasn't. If you read my big list and all that, you'd know my favorite movie of 2005 was Sin City and all that. And I'm going to say that Brokeback Mountain also is a good movie. And I'm also going to shock a lot of people out of Brokeback Mountain and Crash are the Best Picture nominees. I actually think Capote is a better movie than Crash and Brokeback Mountain because Philip Seymour Hoffman and the chemistry between him and Catherine Keener and the Clifton Collins Jr. And I absolutely love Capote, and that Capote was my second favorite film of 2005. So, yes, I'm saying I think Capote, and I know it's because a lot of critics and a lot of film studied Brokeback and they just praise Brokeback, but I think Capote is better than Crash and Brokeback, and I don't think Brokeback and Crash are bad films. But everybody was shitting on Crash. And I think Crash had some good moments and all that. It was talked about the race relationships. And it does show that people could have some scumbag moves. But even in moments of that whole Matt Dillon storyline with Tandy Newton and all that, some people are like, oh, and you know what? She probably wouldn't forget that, but she realized it was a life or death situation. And I thought that was powerful. I also thought the chemistry, Michael Pena, I think, did very well in Crash. And the story with him and his daughter, I thought that was a very heartwarming story and all that. The cloak part was a little hokey, but it's not a bad movie, Crash. I don't know. I don't agree with what Paul Haggis did and all that, but as a movie itself, the internet shits on this movie, and it's not as bad as Shakespeare in Love. I am sorry. Shakespeare in Love beat out Saving Private Ryan, and Shakespeare in Love, other than it has good art direction, but it's a fucking slogfest bore movie in my opinion, and I just don't like it. You could like Shakespeare in Love the 1990, or technically the awards were in 1999, but they're for 1998 movies, so I say the 1998 Oscars. But there's so many better performances that lost out. Shakespeare in Love beating out Saving Private Ryan, fuck that shit. Saving Private Ryan was a much better film, had a lot more powerful impact, had a lot more just an amazing war film. I go as far as say it's one of the best war films of all time. And Roberto Benigni beating out Edward Norton. Bullshit. What the hell was that stuff about? Now, it's not a bad performance, but Edward Norton was riveting and powerful. And I'll go as far as say that Edward Norton as a Derek Vineyard in that film was my favorite movie of all time is Pulp Fiction, by the way. But favorite performance of the 90s was Edward Norton in American History X. My God, that is a satisfactory, top-tier, riveting performance. And that still bugs me. Cate Blanchett losing to Gwyneth Paltrow, Shakespeare in Love. Again, I absolutely hated Shakespeare in Love. Crash is not as bad as Shakespeare in Love. And all these people, Crash is the worst Best Picture winner of all time. No, it isn't. It's not even in the same league as Shakespeare in Love when it comes to utter garbage. But this is just my opinion. You don't have to agree with my opinion, but I'm just at that point where I was like watching things and just all these people shitting on Crash when I think, and even Green Book. Green Book was it the best picture winner in my opinion? No, but it still was not a bad movie. And most people would say Roma or A Star is Born. My favorite film was actually Vice, which is kind of shocking for a guy that actually, if I was American, I would have actually voted Donald Trump. So I'm not a Democrat, but I was not a Dick Cheney fan, and I was not a George W. Bush fan. And it talking about the corruption behind that, and I liked Vice, even though I don't call myself a Democrat or a Republican. But I absolutely love that movie Vice. But the 1998 Oscars, and like I said, they're just when they shit on Crash so much, and like I said, Crash to me is not a bad movie. I mean, it's not my favorite film of the year. Like I said, Brokeback and Crash and all that. My favorite film of the year was Sin City. I love Sin City. I thought it had amazing art direction and it was something so original when it came out, and it really spoke to me. And it did not get a single nomination, did not get a makeup nomination, which I don't get. And I think that Mickey Rourke should have got an Oscar nomination for that performance. Although Mickey Rourke, he did eventually get nominated for The Wrestler, he should have been nominated for this. Kind of went a little nuts, though. I'm not gonna lie. Like him saying he wants to punch out Trump and he wondered why the secret was like, kind of went crazy. Good actor, but not all there. But yes, that's just my opinion on the situation. I'm just saying, and also I watched the awards contender and Watch Mojo started this let's just shit on Crash train because they want Brokeback to win. My favorite movie of all time is Pulp Fiction. But the movie that won that year, I didn't hate that movie. I did not hate Forrest Gump at all. I thought Forrest Gump was actually my second favorite film of 1994. Pulp Fiction just happens to be my favorite movie of all time. It just happened to be any other year. If any other year Forrest Gump would have won, but it just happened to be facing my favorite movie of all time. So, but I don't hate Forrest Gump. But so many people, when their best movie, they all of a sudden just turn on it. Be like, oh, I don't. The fact it was nominated for Best Picture a lot of the times, you're really hoping, even though if it doesn't win, you're hoping that the movie is at least good. That's why it gets in Best Picture, because it's at least good. But yeah, that's the same thing with Crash and all that. You're hoping, even if Brokeback would have won, you're hoping that they're picking the actual best movies. And another thing I hate, this Best Picture, and I know it's because all of a sudden they look back and say, we really should have nominated The Dark Knight in Best Picture. You think? There was no better film. And I'm just, of that year, Slumdog Millionaire was all right. And my buddy Greg Kutstra, he's my partner in reviewing for Funk and Kustra's movie reviews on our Facebook group. But I started doing this Funk film reviews. But The Dark Knight, only getting and I'm going to go with Matt Walsh. Dark Knight to me was the godfather of superhero film. And I remember reading, Matt Walsh just went on this, and nobody realized that it's a fictitious story. Here's the thing. It drives sometimes in movies and comics and all that. I mean, yes, they're trying to do somewhat of a realistic take, but in the same breath, you still have to suspend disbelief when it comes to films. I know a lot of people that did not like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon because of the flying. And they're like, but here's the thing. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon to me is a good film, but you're not looking for realistic. You're looking for the sheer beauty on what they do. And that's why Crouching Tiger, but some people hated it because, people didn't fly like that. It's unrealistic. I'm like, sometimes you gotta, when you're watching movies, and you gotta suspend disbelief. You have to sometimes. Unless it's a biopic, if, for instance, the movie Ray is my favorite movie of 2004, if you had like Ray started flying and all that as a biopic, then yeah, you don't make stuff to make suspend disbelief. You have to make it real. But in stuff like The Dark Knight, which is a comic book movie, you kind of have to sometimes suspend disbelief. But yeah, also talking about actors and whatnot, like the one guy in the awards contender, Brian, I'll agree with him on the Scent of a Woman thing. And I'm going to disagree with him on John G. Elvinson, Rocky, losing Best Director. Because let me explain something about Rocky with me and all that. You don't have to like Rocky like I like Rocky. Rocky is in my top 5 favorite films of all time. And Rocky, I'll go as far as say that every movie that I've ever watched that won Best, still 2 movies I haven't seen that were nominated for Best Picture, like The Life of Emile Zola. I've never seen it. I've never seen Tom Jones. But every other Best Picture movie I've ever seen, my favorite Best Picture winner of all time is Rocky. I thought it was the ultimate underdog story, and just like I go back, and to me, that's why when people like sometimes Stallone will pick a bad movie, and he got shat on by and get all these Razzie nominations, but all in all, I don't think Stallone's a bad actor. Like, he proved it with Rocky. He proved it with Creed. He also did really good in Copland. I know but I actually thought he did really good in Copland. I think Stallone is just a great... And in Tulsa King, my God, is he good in that. But he does tend to pick a lot of bad movies. But that's why I'll always defend Stallone, because Rocky really hit me in a good way. And Rocky, like I said, it is literally my favorite film that won Best Picture of all time. I'm going to go to talk about Al Pacino this time. And Al Pacino, he did win for Scent of a Woman, and I do agree that Denzel Washington was a better performance that year. But I'm also going to say, and he should have won in the 70s. This is the only time I'm going to say this, and this is going to shock a lot of people. I think Al Pacino, when I did it, I remember I went all the way up to the 60s, all the way up to 1960. I did my favorite films from that, in the 1970s, we got on to 72, 73, and 74. Now my favorite films of each of those years, some people are like, what, Exorcist wasn't your favorite film of 73? It's like, no, it wasn't. It was a great film. My favorite film of that year was Sidney Lumet's Serpico. And also, he was disappointed because Sidney Lumet didn't win, but Rocky, I'm sorry. Rocky to me is just a better film than Network. Network is a great film, great performance. I will give the Peter Firth and the Faye Dunaway Oscars to them. They deserve that. But I just liked Rocky. Rocky just hit me a little more, to a point where, like I said, Rocky is my favorite film to ever win the Best Picture prize. But going back to Pacino. And Pacino, in the 70s, like I said, 72, he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor in The Godfather Part 1, even though Marlon Brando won for lead actor, and actually Pacino had more screen time than him. But I wish Pacino would have won for Godfather Part 1. Not just that. Year after that, the movie Serpico was my favorite film of 1973, where he played real-life cop Frank Serpico. And that's my favorite Sidney Lumet film, and my favorite film of 1973 over The Exorcist and over The Sting and all that. I freaking love Serpico. Serpico is the greatest movie about a law enforcement officer of all time. I like it better than Dirty Harry. I like it better than Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon and Dirty Harry are great movies. They're great for what they are. Serpico had that more realistic cop feel and just brilliant. Oh, so yes. And then for number 3, they move Al Pacino into lead actor, and Godfather Part 2 is my favorite film of 1974. Al Pacino should have won 3 Academy Awards in a row. I'm not kidding. I get why they just wanted to give him, but I look back at what was nominated that year, and Al Pacino should have won 3 Academy Awards in a row. In my opinion, just brilliant performances. But yeah, as I'm going off on these weird little rants where I'm defending Crash, I'm agreeing. I disagree. Like, I just think Rocky's a better film than Network. I think Network's a great film, especially. I'm mad as hell. I'm not gonna take it anymore. That piece of acting in Network. I can see why it won that Oscar for Peter Firth. And Dark, and that's why they brought it into 5 to 10 or whatnot. Go back to 5. Here's why. It oversaturates it where you literally want the best, and there's so many movies, and even though they put like 10 nominations, the Best Picture nominees seem to always, like, my favorite movies aren't always what gets nominated for Best Picture. Yes, that part is true. But there's so many times where I'm like, movies that got extremely loud and incredibly close getting nominated for Best Picture over Nicholas Winding Refn's Drive. Are you fucking crazy? Drive is such a brilliant masterpiece, such an underrated... Oh, I fucking love Drive. I do. And Albert Brooks getting snubbed in Best Supporting Actor. Ugh. That movie changed my view on Albert Brooks. He was Marlon. He always played like comedic roles. That movie brought Albert Brooks to another level, and I wish to see more Albert Brooks performances like that. I wasn't an Albert Brooks fan. I mean, actually, I always thought he was decent in the comedy role. I just didn't expect that out of him. Watching him playing Bernie Rose in Drive, I did not expect that from Albert Brooks. So yes, sometimes, but the reason why I like 5 is because it doesn't oversaturate it, like especially with the inflation and stuff like that. It's hard to see all the movies you want to go see. I like going to the cinema. I fucking would rather go to the cinema, get out of the house, watch a movie, and I don't care if it's a Marvel movie or if it's a comedy, or I like the experience of the cinema. I do like owning. I also like owning actual copies instead of the streaming, because I like owning the movies I love. I like saying, hey, I support this piece of art. I'm glad that I have it. So yeah, I'm just making my honest opinion of the situation. So yes, I'm defending Crash. I'm saying just because your favorite movie doesn't win Best Picture either doesn't make it a bad film. And the internet, they probably won't, but I think the internet should stop shitting on Crash. You shit on Paul Haggis all you want, because if he did what they said he did, and he's in jail, and then he's a piece of shit, yeah. But he did a good movie. I can say the thing about Roman Polanski. I cannot stand the man. But he did direct some good movies. Sometimes you got to separate the art from the artist, and sometimes that's not an easy thing. And I like going to films. I'm not going to stop watching them because of... I will try to separate the arts from... The only time I find hard to watch movies is Will Smith movies. I don't know, just... I guess it's because I seen he actually did what he did with the assault. It was where it's hard for me to watch Will Smith movies now. I always thought he was overrated. I'll go as far as say that he, in my opinion, is the worst Best Actor winner of all time. He is. Every other performance from Denzel Washington in The Tragedy of Macbeth to Andrew Garfield and Tick, Tick, Boom to The Power of the Dog, they're all better than him in that movie. And I think Cooper Hoffman should have been nominated over Will Smith in Licorice Pizza. Yep. I'll go as far as say that. I did not like Will Smith's performance in King Richard. I just think, well, like I said, I think he's an overrated even before. The only movie I think he deserves the Academy Award nomination was Pursuit of Happiness. Yep. But just because, like I said, I actually seen him do the slap and act how he acted. I can't really watch him anymore. But yeah. My name is Corey Funk. This has been Funk Film Reviews. And this is just me kind of ranting and talking and just giving my takes. You don't have to agree with them. They're just my takes. Anyway, have yourselves a wonderful night. Take care. It's Funk Film Reviews. I'll get back to actually talking about a movie next time. Bye.